I eventually agreed to the abortion.
Wow.
But the day we were to go for the procedure, we wake up that day and news breaks out on campus. A pastor's daughter had died having an abortion.
Wow.
So at the time, what I heard when I was there was that for baby girls, it was 100,000. And for baby boys, it was 200,000.
Wow. That's not adoption.
So we're paying for our sins of being pregnant. We did a lot of hard labor, harvesting this, harvesting that, and the food was terrible. Eventually, I would meet the chaplain of the convent because they had a chaplain. I would meet with him. And the first time he saw me, he said, "You're not supposed to be here." A few weeks after I went home, I couldn't sleep because every time I closed my eyes to sleep, I heard the boys' cries. So I now had a case of insomnia, depression. I don't know what it was, but everything was just there. And I think the only thing that made me cope was the hope that one day I would see my son again and I would be able to talk to him and let him know that I didn't abandon you. There was this young woman there who had just given birth, and she asked me, "What are you doing with your baby?" I told her I was giving the baby up for adoption. She asked me why. I said, "That's what my parents want." She said, "So what do you want?" I said, "I don't want to give up my baby." She said, "Then don't give up your baby. Let your parents disown you. Fight for your baby." And I asked her why. She said, "Because this place is a bad place. They are selling people's children. And if you don't agree, you will not know what." And some of the people who pretend to be parents are actually ritualists. So they will take your baby for rituals.
Hello, viewers. Welcome to another exciting episode of Echoes with Flo. I am your host, Florence Oketona, and with me in the studio today is Hazel and Barrister Ebu, by popular demand. And we're going to be talking about Hazel's story of the convent. By popular demand, our viewers came to ask us that we should bring Hazel back to complete her story. So today she's going to be talking about her experience at the convent. But before we start, I would like to ask our viewers to like and subscribe to our channel if you love our content, so that you can be the ones to get notifications as soon as our videos are up. So today we're going to be welcoming Hazel to this beautiful podcast. Hazel, good afternoon, good evening, good morning.
Thank you very much.
Barrister
I'm happy to be here.
Ebun,
Good evening.
you're welcome once again to this exciting episode. Today we're going to be leaving Hazel to tell her story. We're not going to be interrupting her much, and we're going to be listening to what she went through at the convent. How did you get there? What happened at the first time? And tell us one or two things that you went through at the convent.
That's all right. But before I would start with this, I want to say this, not because I'm afraid of backlash, but I just want to set the record straight. I am not blaming anybody.
Yeah.
Okay? This is not a story to blame or to point fingers. Yeah. I'm sharing this story because I want to help people. There's this scripture in Corinthians where Paul said, "With the comfort you have received, comfort others." That is the only mission I have, to comfort as many people who have been heartbroken by whatever situations they might have faced, rejection, abandonment, disappointments of various kinds. I want to encourage you. I want to give you hope. I said somewhere in a post I made, I'm giving hope one talk at a time. So I'm not here to lay blames at anybody's doorstep. Yeah. I love my parents. I respect them. I hold them in very high regard. Yes, they made their mistakes, as we all do.
Yes.
There's nobody that is infallible, okay? That is why it is rather unfortunate that some people hold others to certain high standards, and when they make mistakes, you hear things like, "Oh, I can't believe this person did that." No, believe it, because everybody is fallible, okay? Yes. So I'm only sharing these stories to help all of us out there. You can learn something from it. You can get encouraged. You can get direction. Like, especially for parents, you can learn something. Parents of this generation, how do you navigate certain situations? I'm not here to castigate anybody. I'm not here to run anybody down.
Yeah.
All
And,
right.
I also want to say that this story is Hazel's personal story. And it comes from it, her sharing it comes from a deep conviction that somebody out there is going to benefit and learn one or two things from her story. So we're not here to run anybody down, either the convent, her former husband, her parents. She's not here to run anybody down. We just want to share this story so that everyone out there will learn one or two things, and anyone that finds himself or herself in such a situation will learn one or two things from her story and know how to navigate. So Hazel, please, we want to hand over the microphone to you. Now, can you tell us how did it start?
All right. So like there I would skip a lot of details for the purpose of time, but you can always get my book. For those of you who were asking, if you want the ebook, it's on Seller. If you want a hard copy, that's a paperback, it's available on Amazon Kindle. Okay. The links will be pasted in the comments.
Yes.
So get that. You would see every single detail you want to see. And of course, you can always ask questions. But basically, the convent was like the last part of the journey. I met my ex, that's my son's father, in 2008 when we were both at school. We're in the same school. And we would always pass the same route because I was in the department that was after his own department. So I was in food science, he was in mechanical engineering. So we would definitely pass each other. It was the same direction. And he would say hello to me, and with that hello, hi, one day he stops me and says, "Can I have your number?" And we exchanged numbers, and occasionally he would call and check on me. A friendship started, and the friendship grew into a romantic one. It was very intense, as I would say. I was madly in love with him, and he was obviously madly in love with me too. And of course, we're both students. We threw caution to the wind. I remember his father saying one time that it was juvenile delinquency. At the time, I had never heard that word. I had to go look it up and know what juvenile delinquency was.
You were both how old then?
So at the time, I met him when I was 20.
Okay.
And he was about 28 or 29.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Can't
he was.
call him a juvenile then.
So of course he wasn't, but I was definitely a juvenile. Like someone would see my frontal lobe was not fully developed. So I was really enamored by him, particularly that he paid attention to my feelings. I wasn't that kind of person at the time who wanted money. So money was not a thing for me. I was a student, so money was not a thing, but I had big dreams, and there were things I loved that he paid attention to. He would compliment me. I like people complimenting me. "Oh, you look good, you smell nice." And he will always tell me, "You look good, you smell nice today." And he would get me small things. I love yogurts, chocolates. He would get me that. And another thing that a lot of people didn't know about me, but he paid attention, was I love taking evening walks. I love to walk, and I love to sit in front of the water because it calms me down. So he paid attention to all these things, and he made sure he was making these things available. Of course, it's very easy for somebody that young to be carried away with everything. So we started a relationship, and I said it was really intense. And eventually my parents found out about the relationship. Not that we were hiding, but anyway, the word still got to them because there were people in school who were constantly, snitches, yes. People in school who were constantly calling home, "Your daughter is doing this. We saw her holding one boy's hand. We saw her standing with a boy in the school garden." And it was always coming back to me. There was always backlash from home, okay? So my mom would call, my dad would call, "I sent you to school. I paid your school fees. You shouldn't be there doing this and doing that." And the more that happened, the more I was running into these guys' arms, okay? And in my young mind, I felt this was it. I found the love of my life. That little stuff you read in Mills and Boons.
Your soulmate.
Yes, I found my soulmate. We're going to do life together. So I wasn't really cautious about a lot anymore. And by September of 2009, I was pregnant.
Wow.
Of course, it started like I had malaria. I was throwing up badly. I was really sick. And then he was the one who looked at me one morning and said, "You're pregnant." I'm like, "No, I can't be pregnant." And he said, "Don't worry, I'll get a PT strip and we'll find out." And of course, I was pregnant. And that was the first reality, waking up to reality of, I'm pregnant. What's going to happen? So with me being pregnant, he wanted us to have an abortion. And I said no, because I was scared. Of course, I couldn't think of, having an abortion. At this time, apart from being a pastor's kid, yes, the sin effect, I was going to be sinning against God by killing this baby. The other thing was, at that time, there was a lot of publicity about how abortions can kill you, it can damage your womb. There was a lot going on. So I was really, really scared. And he said, don't worry, he's going to contact the doctor. Everything is going to be safe and this and that. I eventually agreed to the abortion.
Wow.
But yes, I eventually agreed. I succumbed. But the day we were to go for the procedure, we wake up that day and news breaks out on campus. A pastor's daughter had died having an abortion.
Wow.
So that hit home. Hit home. So I was like, oh, I'm going to die too. If I try this thing, I am going to die. I told him, no, I'm not going to do this. He was like, I told him, no, if I do this, I'm going to die. That girl, no, this is a sign. I'm not going to do it. No. So at this point, nothing he said was going to make, I wasn't changing my mind. Like, I don't care. Whatever is going to happen, let it happen. I'm not having an abortion. And he says, okay. Then, so what are we now going to do? I said, what's the next thing to do? We have to tell our parents. Of course, we're both under our parents. So, and are you sure? He said, yes. So I spoke to my best friend at the time. God rest her soul. She's late now. So I called her on the phone and I told her. And she said, Hazel, are you sure? I said, yes. She said, are you sure? You know who your parents are? And I said, yes. She said, Hazel, think about it again. And I told her, don't worry, I'll be fine. And she said, okay, whatever you want, but just know that I'm here for you. And October 1st, I go back home after I've defended my project. And I go back home and...
You were in your final year?
Yeah, of ND, National Diploma. Yeah, so I go home and my mom was in the US. So I didn't tell anybody because I felt I should tell my mom first. It's not something I wanted to tell my dad. So along the line, my boyfriend, that's my son's father, he was still my boyfriend, of course, calls me and says his mom wants to see me. So I went to see his mom and we had a talk and she asked me if I had told my family. And I said, no, I was waiting for my mom to get back from the US. And she said, but you should tell your brother. He's your brother. You should tell him first. Your parents should not be the one telling him about that. And it's like, I cannot tell my brother, or me and him don't have such a good relationship. She said, no, you have to tell him. And she was of the opinion that she expects him to be able to protect me from whatever decisions my parents would make. And so I went home that day and I told my brother that I was pregnant, and he was really mad at me. He blew up on me. And, there was a whole, what were you thinking? What and this and that and that. There was a lot of talk.
Sorry, please. Can I cut you at this point? I want to ask, did the mother of your boyfriend accept the pregnancy? Was she happy about it? Or?
No, she wasn't happy about it. Right. No, she wasn't happy about it. In fact, she was very unhappy about the fact that I was Igbo. She mentioned it, that she's not happy that she doesn't like Igbo people. She said it clearly.
Wow.
Yeah, that she doesn't like Igbo people because Igbo people sell their children.
Wow.
Yeah, so she said that. So kind of that stuck. She said she didn't like Igbo people.
Sell their children.
Yes, Igbo people sell their children. Yeah, I didn't know what she meant.
By way of marriage.
I don't know. She didn't explain, but she just said, I don't like Igbo people because they sell their children. So I didn't know what she meant by selling of children. But that was what she said. And she said a lot of other hurtful things, which I wouldn't want to mention them here. But she wasn't happy about it. And she said, whatever the case is, they are Urobo people and they do not leave their children outside. That was what she said. Right. So that whatever it is, it's still their child. So they're going to see what they're going to do about it. And then we talked about her. She now talked of me telling my brother. So my brother now asked me, so when am I telling my parents? I said, well, let mommy come back and then I would tell her. The day my mom came in, he was on my neck. Are you not going to tell her? I'm like, guys, she just arrived. Settle down. Calm down. Let her rest. Let her Liz come back from journey now. There's jet lag and everything. Let her. And he was on my case until I eventually told my mom that I was pregnant. And she was like, it's okay. There's nothing we can do. We've been talking to you since and you didn't listen. Knowing who my mom was, why is she very calm?
It was unusual.
It was unusual. I was actually expecting a blowover, but that didn't happen. So I felt, okay, that's a good sign.
Don't you think your brother must have snitched to her first?
Maybe. I don't know. I've never really thought about it.
For a mother to learn that her beloved daughter is pregnant and she's that calm.
Yeah, maybe.
On African.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Don't you
I didn't think
so?
of that. Yeah.
I know so.
Yeah, because even me, I'll freak out. Yeah, so she was really calm, and she makes this trip with my dad, and it's while they're on that trip, she tells my dad, and the day they come back from the trip, everything changes. Hell actually broke loose. Everybody was talking at the same time. I could barely hear what anybody was saying because my brother was talking, my mom was talking, my dad was talking, everybody was saying the same thing. But in between all the hurtful things that were being hurled at me, everything I could hear was, you have disappointed this family, you have done this, you have done that, you brought shame, you've done a lot of this and that. And so it was a very rough night for me because, of course, at this point, I was already feeling very bad, yes. But I was trying to be strong based on, because I really didn't know what was going to happen. The future looked very bleak for me. So in as much as everything was being hurled at me, and in the midst of the sadness, I was trying to keep my head up, and I was keeping my then boyfriend in the loop of everything that was going on. At each stage, this is what's going on. And then...
Was he supportive?
Yes, he was very supportive. So the following morning, they say results were ready. I should go and get my results from school. So I go get my results. And the day I come back from getting my results, my parents told me to pack my things. Wow. Yeah, so I was packing my things still. And there was still another long talk, a long family meeting. And at the end, they asked me, did I have any questions? And I asked, where was I going? They said they were taking me to Badagry. So, okay. Who is in Badagry? And then they reminded me, there was this, when we were living in the Republic of Guinea, there was a young disciple of my dad who lived with us. So he was the one. He was now back to Nigeria. He was married and living with his family in Badagry. So they were taking me to his house in Badagry. So I was supposed to be there until the baby was born. And we go to Badagry, and I don't know what they had a meeting. That's my parents and this young man and his wife. They had a meeting. I wasn't there. So at the end of the meeting...
You actually went to Badagry?
Yes, they took me to Badagry. So, and after the talk, the following morning, my parents left and came back to Jos and left me with these people in Badagry. And by the following morning, the woman stopped giving me food. Wow. I woke up, I knocked on her door and asked what was for breakfast, and she didn't answer me. And by noon, I realized, okay, nothing was happening. I went out and bought something. Thank God it was Lagos, Badagry, of course, so I got something to eat. And the same thing, for the next 3 days, I exhausted the little money I had on me buying food. And then I didn't have any money. There was no food. So I stayed for another 3 days without food.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pregnant.
Yes. And it was so bad that she would lock the kitchen. She would lock the fridge. So I couldn't even boil Indomie in the kitchen. Like, assuming I wanted to buy Indomie and come and boil.
So sorry to ask this. Did you have any conversation with her when you got there?
No, besides the pleasantries and the introductions, I didn't have any conversation with her. But the conversation was between my parents and her and her husband. Yes. So, I was there. So eventually, I spoke to my boyfriend about it, that I didn't have money and the woman was not giving me food. So he sent me some money. So I started buying food again. And on Christmas Day, she gave me food. So that was, and then
in Christmas.
Yeah, in the spirit of Christmas. And then on Boxing Day, my boyfriend's mom and sister came to visit, and they brought some food and some provisions for me. So at least somehow I had, and some money still. So I was eating. And besides all of that, she's on some days, if she's going out, she would lock the house. So she would tell me, I'm going out with my children and I want to lock my house. So I'll have to sit outside until she comes back from wherever. And on one of those days, the house girl... on one of those days, the house girl woke me up at 6 a.m. It was a very brisk waking up and they were already rushing. So I just walked out. I didn't even take my bag or anything. I was sitting outside of the house from 6 a.m. until they came back at 7 p.m. I couldn't even...
From 6 a.m.?
Yes, until 7 p.m. I couldn't even drink water. I didn't have money. And I was just sitting in front of one of the shops in front of their house, waiting for them to come back. And
did you tell this to your parents?
No, because my parents had told me, they had given me a strong warning that I had no right to complain. Wow. that all my rights had been taken away, so I didn't have any reason to complain.
By being pregnant.
Yes. So I that was also one of the things she was doing. And on one of those days, we went to church, and from church we were coming back, and I walked past to go and buy. I was still using Rhapsody of Realities at the time, so I walked to one of their branches to buy the Rhapsody of Realities. And
I thought those were given for free.
no, I was a partner, so I was actually giving partnership. So I wasn't really buying. Okay, I think that's it. So I went to pay my partnership. I think it was 1,000. I was there, and then I get a copy of the Rhapsody of Realities.
All right.
So by the time I came back, she wouldn't open the door, and she asked me where I went. Through the door, she asked where I went. I told her where I went. I went to the Christ Embassy to get the Rhapsody of Realities. And she was like, why didn't I tell her? I said, when church closed, I didn't see you, because at the time service ended in their own church, she wasn't there. Okay. Yeah, she had left the church with her children. So I said, I didn't see you. So I just told the house help where I was going. So I thought the house help told you. And she was shouting at me. And eventually, when the neighbors were now coming back, that was when she opened the door. So I was just sitting there. And then and in between time, she was occasionally reporting me to my dad too. I don't know what she was reporting, because I was minding my business. But my dad would call and still shout to me, I should behave myself, I should this and that. So she called my dad. She had called my dad. And so my dad called me almost immediately. My dad called me and asked where I went that I didn't tell her. And I told him where I went. And I said, this place is just like a block from their own house. It's not like it was, I didn't even stay 5 minutes, because the church, their church, the house, and Christ Embassy, they're all in the same area. So it's a walking distance. We walked from church. Yeah, so it's not like it was that far, and my dad was waking and shouting. And I asked him, what exactly did she say I did wrong to her? I haven't done anything. What is it that she's been telling you that I did wrong? She has not been giving me food, and I have not complained. So at the mention of me saying she had not, my dad said, what did you just say? I said, yes, since you people left, she has not been giving me food. She only gave me food on Christmas Day. He said, and I didn't tell anybody. I said, how was I supposed to be telling anybody?
When you had no right to complain.
And then he hung up the phone, and then my mom would call me immediately and ask that, is it true she has not been giving me food? I said, yes, she hasn't been giving me food. Since when? I said, since you people left. Why didn't I say anything? I said, but you told me I didn't have a right to complain. And she didn't mean it like that and this and that. It was okay. And that same night, I was talking to one of their Nwa boys, because her husband had some boys who were working for him who were staying in the house. I was talking with him. I didn't know she had given an instruction to everybody in the house not to speak to me.
Wow.
But this particular Nwa boy didn't care about that rule. He would talk to me, we would gist. And she heard us talking, and she came out from the room and started ranting, started raising the roof. And she now mentioned how I'm the worst thing that happened to her in this whole 2009. She doesn't know why she agreed to let me into her house. I'm the worst thing that happened. I brought curses into her house, and people are saying it's her husband who got me pregnant. So wow. I think that was when I understood that, okay, this was where the animosity was coming from. The fact that she thought people were saying her husband was responsible for my pregnancy and all of that. So on January 2nd, I wake up and the house is empty. So I was surprised. Like, usually if anybody was going out, I would have been locked out. So I just had a feeling that, okay, maybe something was happening. Maybe my mom was coming. I just had that premonition. And truth be told, by around 10 a.m., there was a knock on the door, and it was my mom. My mom had come from Jos to take me. So by the 5th of January, my mom took me to the convent.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
Straight to the convent?
Yeah, straight to the convent. From Badagry, we went straight to the convent in Owerri. And like I said the previous time, it was at the registration table. I knew that the plan was to give the baby up for adoption.
Sorry to cut you. I just want to clarify something. Were they at home, your hosts, were they at home when your mom took you?
Yes, they were, because when
they returned back.
Yeah, they returned. Yes, we didn't leave immediately.
All right.
Yeah, so when she came, we were there. In fact, that same day, my mom was there. This woman served my mom food and didn't serve me food.
In front of your mom?
Yes, in the presence of my mom.
Wow.
So my mom got up, got a fork, an extra fork, and said I should eat. And the woman blew up on her. You came to my house. You didn't even ask me anything. I gave you food and you're giving this useless girl food, that kind of thing. So she gave my mom a good insult, she gave it to her real well. And her husband wasn't around at the time because he was a forwarding and clearing officer. So the Christmas and New Year is busy at the border. So he was the forwarding and clearing officer at the border. So, but he came back that night and they had a meeting, and I don't know how that ended, but we left on the 5th of January and we from there straight to the convent. Yes. And it was, like I said, it was at the registration table. I knew that the plan was to give my baby up for adoption, which I didn't want. We arrived there about 6 p.m. So it was during evening prayers in the convent. So when I got into the hostel, because there's a door from the registration place, there's a door leading into the hostel. And I remember turning back when the sister told my mom, "No, ma, you cannot pass this point." And it was like, "Mommy, are you going to leave me here?" And my mom walked away without looking back. I still remember how I stood there crying because I didn't know.
All that.
Yeah.
I want to, sorry, before you continue with your stay in the convent, if the woman at Badagry did not maltreat you and had treated you well, what do you think was the plan for the baby? Do you think
I don't know.
there was any plan?
I don't know.
When
I don't know because what they said was when the baby is born, they will decide what to do. So I didn't know what that decision was.
I just wanted to know whether there was a plan for the baby if the issue of the convent had not come up.
Yeah, I don't know. If there was a plan, I didn't know about that plan. I wasn't brought into that plan. Yes. So I was there crying when I just heard a voice behind me. "Don't worry, don't cry." All of us cried when we came here. And it was the prefect, like the head girl of the Umu girls. They used to call us Umu girls there. So she was like the head girl, and she came to help me carry my bag and settle me in the room where I was to stay. And there was this young woman there who had just given birth. So she was not at prayers with the other girls. So she was in the room, and she was like, "Oh, you're just coming. Where are you coming from?" So she spoke Igbo. And then I responded that I didn't speak Igbo. Wow. So she spoke English. She now spoke English to me and asked where I was coming from. And I told her where I was coming from. And she asked me, "What are you doing with your baby?" I told her I was giving the baby up for adoption. She asked me why. I said, "That's what my parents want." She said, "So what do you want?" I said, "I don't want to give up my baby." She said, "Then don't give up your baby. Let your parents disown you. Fight for your baby." And I asked her why. She said, "Because this place is a bad place. Wow. They are selling people's children. Wow. And don't agree. You will not know." And some of the people who pretend to be parents are actually ritualists. So they will take your baby for rituals. That traumatized me a good deal. So it was like from the time I knew what was going on, and she said her mom had disowned her, but she stood her ground, and so she wasn't giving her baby up. So I asked her, "So what should I do?" She said, "Whatever it is you will do, just make sure you don't give your baby up for adoption." And so I said, "Okay." So I started.
She was not going to give up her baby.
Yes, she wasn't going to give up her baby. So she left after a few days because once you give birth, I think you have 3 to 7 days to leave.
Fresh.
Yes.
But anyway, you can continue.
Yeah, so you have.
I wanted to ask that if you had the option of not giving up your baby there, that means it's not by force. It's not compulsory. It's not forceful. It's not compulsory for you to give up your baby.
Yes, as long as
looking at the other lady's story.
Yes,
now.
from what like she said, when she insisted. Now this was a conversation between her and her mom. So the fact that her mom didn't come to sign because she had just a mother. Okay, her dad was late because a parent has to come and also co-sign for the adoption. So yes, so that was because that was what the Reverend Sister told my mom, that if they're giving up the baby, my dad would have to come and sign as well. So in her case, she told her mom that she doesn't care. She can disown her. But so the mom didn't come to sign. You cannot sign alone. Okay, so the mom didn't show up to sign. And so she was leaving that place with her baby. All right, so I started staying there. And eventually I would get to meet the other girls. Of course, they finished prayers and came in. And of course, I was a new girl in town. And I couldn't speak Igbo. terrible for me because
Everybody spoke Igbo.
yes, it was everybody spoke Igbo, and some of them were not educated at all. So there were some of them who couldn't even speak English. So there was that language barrier, of course. And then I didn't grow up in Igbo land, so my mannerisms were quite different. I spoke very good English, so it was very much of a
You
problem.
still do.
Yeah, so it was that was where I wasn't too popular among the girls. They stigmatized me a lot, but fortunately, it kind of was a plus for me where in relation to the Reverend sisters, they took a liking to me. Yeah, because I could read, I could write, I could speak well. So it was a plus for me. So before I didn't stay too long before the Reverend sister made me an assistant prefect.
Wow.
So I was able to even leave the first room I was in, which was kind of crowded, to a more private room.
Like, how many were you in a room?
So the first room I was in, there were 11 of us. The second room I moved to were just 3. Yeah, but at the time I was there, there were 66 of us in the convent.
Was there a particular age group? Were the girls of a particular age group? Was it?
Yeah, I think at the time I was there, the youngest was 17.
All right.
And the oldest was 28.
All right. So
Yes.
just young adults.
Yes, young adults. Yeah, that's the age group. So we're all young adults. And so it was also a very hard experience because we were like doing penance, as they would say in the Catholic faith. We're paying for our sins of being pregnant. We did a lot of hard labor, harvesting this, harvesting that, and the food was terrible, It wasn't anything to write home about. And in as much as they had a bakery on the grounds, you couldn't eat bread. If you were caught with bread, it was a very big problem.
So what was the bread for?
For selling.
Wow.
So
I'd like to ask you, did you pay any money?
yes, there was a registration fee of 20,000 naira.
And was there a monthly fee?
No. You just pay that registration and that's about it.
So what of feeding? Feeding was supposed to be free.
I don't know if that 20,000 was to cover the feeding. This was in 2010.
2010. 2010. 20,000 was a lot.
For the whole
No, I was there. I was already 6 months pregnant when I got there.
Okay.
So yes, I don't know about the financial obligations of others, but that was what I knew. I heard when I was still at the registration table, she was to pay 20,000 naira for me. So I was already 6 months pregnant because she asked me how far gone my pregnancy was and all of that, So, after this discussion, after that first discussion with because another thing, phones were not allowed there. Yeah, but my mom had even collected my phone before we even got to the convent. So when the sister asked for my phone, my mom said that no, she doesn't have a phone. I've already collected it. So there was no way to call out because I felt stuck. Like I have to reach out to my son's father or to my baby's father. I didn't know if it was going to be a boy or girl. I had to reach out to my baby's father to let him know what was going on because, of course, he didn't.
The last he knew
was I was in Badagry, yes.
Badagry, yeah.
So now he didn't know. And of course, my phone was off. So I'm sure even if he had tried, because he kept in touch with me. So I knew I had to reach out to him somehow because he didn't deny the pregnancy. So I cannot just, give his baby up because that was what I tried to explain to my mom. He didn't deny. So I think we have to bring him into this. And she said, no, she's done giving them any chance to whatever it is. So it was a very difficult place. The food was terrible. We ate yam and beans every morning, most mornings, and they will apportion, one fish or two for the whole day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And there were times they give us expired food or spoiled food, and we of course had to eat it because there was nothing else to do. We went to mass all the time, and some of the reverend fathers would constantly remind us of everything wrong we're doing. So eventually I would meet the chaplain of the convent because they had a chaplain. I would meet with him. And the first time he saw me, he said, "You're not supposed to be here." Wow. And I was confused, like, can't you see I'm pregnant? Like, of course, everybody here is pregnant. What do you mean I'm not supposed to be here? And he said, no, you're not supposed to be here. He said, I've seen the kind of girls who come here. You're not supposed to be here. Give me your father's number. I would like to speak to him. And then I give him my dad's number and he goes outside and talks to him on the phone. And then he comes back and says, he doesn't know what it is, but my father is a stubborn man. Wow. And he just wishes he would change his mind. He said, you're not supposed to be here. And from what I heard the other girl say, that there's usually an interview he does with them. I didn't have that interview. Because he kept saying, you're not supposed to be here. And he was clearly emotional, like he was holding back tears. And he now said, it's okay, I should go. He would see what he can do. And that was it. I went back and I asked one of the girls, how do I make a phone call? Like, we don't have phones. How do I make a phone call? They now said I should speak to the Reverend Sister who was in charge of the hostel. That usually every Saturday you can get to make a phone call. So I went to meet her. Like, can I make a phone call? She said, okay, no, it's until Saturday. When it's time, I'll announce that you can make a phone call. So on the first Saturday, the first thing I did was call my baby's father. I told him where I was and told him what had been going on. Then I called my mom and told her, I cannot give this baby up. Oh. Look at what I'm hearing. And she told me firmly, that's not your decision to make. You cannot say that. So fast forward to February, my mom and my dad came to the convent for the signing of the adoption papers. And I was invited. We talked a bit, and then they told me to go back to the hostel, and they had a meeting with.
That was in preparation for you.
Yes, so they had a meeting.
Before you go on, I want to ask. You said the Reverend Father said you were not supposed to be there, and that he has seen the kind of girls that are there. Can you throw more light on that?
I don't know
what kind of girls.
I don't know.
Were at the place.
I don't know. To me, they were just girls who were pregnant. So I wouldn't know what exactly he meant.
Okay, so
yes.
So you left the place, you never knew.
I didn't know what he meant.
What he implied by that.
Yes, I didn't know what he implied by that. Yes. I didn't know what he implied by that. So my mom comes to my dad and they have a meeting. He, my mom, the sisters, they have a phone meeting with my son's father's parents. So I wasn't in that meeting. I don't know what happened, but it took about 2 hours. I still remember. So 2 hours later, I was called in. Oh yeah, come and sign. Sit down. The books were opened. And I remember crying so much. Like, is there not something we can do? And nobody was even saying anything. And I was crying so badly. And I copied out there's one you copy out the undertaking, and then there's the other book you would sign. And my dad wrote his own undertaking. And I remember crying for the rest of that day. And amid tears, I told myself I was going to run away from this place because that was the only option I saw available now. But the question was, how am I going to run away? And that was when I remembered, I already had a good relationship with their driver because he was from this town and he spoke Hausa and I had already had some chit chat with him. So I walked up to him one day. He was washing the bus and I asked him, can you help me? And he said, yes. What do you want me to help you with? And I told him my plight and how he was going to help me. And he offers the information that, they're going for a convention and it's a whole week. So that that's a window if I need to. So can you help me get out of here? He said, of course, why not? I should just be ready. And the time for this convention happens.
Where were you going to run to?
I don't know. I just needed to be outside that gate.
But did you tell your baby's father about the plans to run?
No, I didn't tell him.
Sorry, I'm asking too many questions.
Yeah, my plan was when I get out, I would call him and now maybe find him or something. But
when did you tell your baby's father the options that they gave you?
Yes.
Plans to give up the baby. I did. And what was his response?
He said if I gave his baby up for adoption, he was never going to forgive me.
All right.
Yes. So I didn't have any plans, really, any concrete plans. The only plan was get out of this place. That was so I just knew that if I get out of this place, I would figure something out. So for me, it was just to get out. And then they go on their convention and I was asking him how far, like I was trying to follow up on how far. And he said I should just chill, I should relax. And on a Thursday morning, because we usually had this Friday morning mass. So there's a Thursday evening mass and then a Friday morning mass. And on that Friday morning mass, I see one of the Reverend Sisters back, the one in charge of the hostel. Like, why is she back? She's not supposed to be back. This convention is ending on Sunday. Why is she here? And immediately we're walking out from mass. She calls me, come. And immediately she said, don't even think of lying to me. So you want to run away? And I started crying. Because of course I knew there's no way she would know I was running away if not that she had been told. So I started crying and she was like, why are you crying? Okay, don't worry, it's okay. Maybe I was harsh. Why are you crying? What is it? I said, I can't give my baby up for adoption, And she says, okay, so what do you want to do? I said, is there no other way? She said, but you've signed, your dad has signed, there's no other way. What do you want? I said, okay, can I at least rent an apartment and stay by myself when I leave, when I give birth and leave this place? And she says, it's not going to be a good thing for you to do. You're young. You're not going to survive on the streets of Owerri. So I wouldn't actually advise that. It's a dangerous place for a young girl with a baby to be. So that's not going to be really possible. Okay, what else? Do I want to stay back in the convent? I said, is that a possibility? Yes, it was a possibility, but I will have to go through catechism class and everything in between.
With your baby?
Yes, I have to go through catechism class, become a Catholic, become a this and that. So I was like, no, I'm not sure I want
But
to.
they were going to allow you to stay with your baby?
Yes.
All right.
But I wasn't really, I didn't think I wanted that option either because it didn't look like something I wanted to do. So what other options did I have? And I asked her, but what if I call the baby's father to come get his baby? And she said, okay, let's call him. And she calls him immediately and asks him, will you come and carry this boy when he's born? Or this child when it's born? He said, yes, it's his child. He will come and take his child. She said, okay, send money for baby things.
Wow.
And immediately he sent money. She went shopping for him, for the baby's things and all of that. I was already close to delivery. So it was at the end of March. So I was close to delivery. And then April 15th, my birthday, my 22nd birthday, I went into labor. Yeah, and I was in labor for the whole day until 1 a.m. April 16th when I had this baby, a boy.
March.
April 16th, yes, 1 a.m. I had him and it was a boy.
What hospital was given to you? Which hospital were you taken to?
I was not taken to any hospital.
You
I
had the
did
baby at
in
the
the convent. Yes,
there are nurses, doctors.
there's a designated room that has all the delivery stool and everything. And
that's where everybody gives birth.
yes, except there are complications, then they take you to the hospital. Now they have a hospital, the church that had
Midwives.
that. Yes. Maybe. Yeah, the church had a hospital. The church that had the convent also had a hospital. So if there are complications, you would be taken to that hospital. But if not, we all gave birth there. So I gave birth. Yes, one of the Reverend sisters is a midwife.
All right.
Yeah, she's a trained midwife. So she was the one who was in charge of all of that. Yeah, so there was no hospital. I gave birth there in the convent. And, so I gave birth and the whole back and forth started again. My parents found out that I wasn't giving up the baby. Because normally, if you're giving up the baby is given away that day. Yes, the day you have the baby is given up. So because there were many girls who gave birth before me who had given their babies up. So the babies didn't stay beyond 24 hours. Wow. Unless maybe there were complications. Like there was a certain baby that was born who had jaundice. So they had to treat the baby first. So I think that baby stayed about 3 days in the orphanage.
Just 3 days.
Yes.
Oh, there's an orphanage.
Yes, there's an orphanage on the grounds too. Yeah. So the baby will be given away that very day. So they got to know, and my mom would call and ask me, why are you still with that baby? And there was a lot of back and forth. And on a certain day, the Reverend Sister came and said, your dad just called and said he wants you to come home with the baby. And it was the happiest day of my life in this whole event.
Wow.
But before that day ran out, the story changed again. I didn't know what happened. But I just remember hearing the Reverend Sister telling him, you are confusing this girl.
But had you called your baby daddy then?
Yes. Yes, he was aware.
He was aware.
Yes,
he was.
Yeah, he was planning to come. Yes.
Oh, right.
He was from the day the Reverend Sister had already called. He was aware that I had given birth. We had spoken. Yes. Right. Yeah. So I like I said, they liked me a lot. So somehow I had that preference. So it got to a point where anytime he called, she would let me speak with him. Yes. So I didn't always have to wait until the Saturdays for the phone calls. Yes. So there was that back and forth going on of why you're still with the baby. And then I kept telling them, I can't give up my baby. I can't give this baby up. It's not going to, I just can't do it. And 2 weeks after, my son's father finally comes with his mom to take the baby.
To the convent?
Yes, they came to the convent to take the boy. And they arrived around 6 p.m. Then on the 29th of April, 2010. and I gave them the boy. And I still remember he cried the whole night. He cried the whole night.
baby.
Yes.
How did you know that he cries?
He was, the room they kept them was not far from the hostel, so I could hear his cries all through the night. And they left on the.
That must have been difficult for you.
Yes, it was very difficult because he was a night crawler. The boy, he would sleep during the day and be mostly awake at night feeding. So I could imagine what it was. He wasn't agreeing to take from a feeding bottle because I was breastfeeding him already. So he wasn't agreeing to take from a bottle. So he was crying the whole night. And then the following morning, as early as 6 a.m., they left. So I got to see him one last time and they left. And at around 8 a.m., I got the Reverend Caesar calls and says my mom had arrived, the convent, to take me home. And that was the longest journey. That's still the longest journey of my life because for that, in that moment, I could understand when a woman goes to the hospital and her baby dies and she has to leave the hospital without the baby. So it was kind of the same feeling, only that in my case, my baby didn't die. But then I wasn't with my baby. So my breasts were already engorged and very painful. So there was the physical pain, there was the emotional pain that I couldn't even explain. Like if you had even asked me at that time, how are you feeling? I wouldn't be able to tell you how I was feeling, but I was in so much pain, and I got home and there was silence. Like, that kind of silence that is loud. Nobody's talking about anything. Nobody's saying anything to you. You're not saying anything to anybody. And it was heavy and I couldn't sleep. So for the first few weeks after I went home, I couldn't sleep because every time I closed my eyes to sleep, I heard the boy's cries. Wow. So I now had a case of insomnia, depression. I don't know what it was, but everything was just there. And one of the ways I could cope that time, I remember at that time, Whitney Houston had just released that song, I Look to You. So I would listen to that song on repeat. And somehow it was like soothing balm to my heart. So I still don't know how I survived those, because those long nights, because I didn't have a phone still. So it's not like I could talk to anybody outside of the house, maybe call a friend or something. But it was hard. I had to lock everything in.
So sorry you had to go
Yes. So it was that hard. It was that painful. And eventually, I think after a month or two, my mom gave me one phone to use. And the first person I called was my best friend, the very one who said she was there for me. And she asked, Hazel, are you back? Because she also was one of the people I contacted while I was in the convent. Yeah, so she asked, are you back? I told her yes. And she started crying again. And we used like 5 minutes to cry together on the phone. So somehow beginning to talk to people again was helpful. And another close friend of mine, randomly tried my number because she had been trying. She randomly tried my number and my phone rang. And when I picked up, she said, Hazel, how are you? I said, I'm fine. And she asked, how is your baby? And I started to cry. Because she didn't know. She knew I was pregnant, but she didn't know what. But she just calculated and knew that I should have given birth by now. And she asked me, why are you crying? Did the baby die? And I couldn't answer her and I kept crying. And then she hung up the phone. And after some time, she called back. She said, Hazel, did the baby die? I said, no, the baby did not die. So why are you crying? And then I started crying again. And I told her, through tears, I told her I gave the baby up. And she said, why? I told her what happened. And she said, I will call you back. And then she calls back and she's like, my mom wants to speak to you. And then she's like, why didn't you tell us? Because they were living in Bauchi too, where we were schooling. She said, when you were pregnant, why didn't you tell us? You would have stayed with us. I said, I didn't know. I didn't know anything that was going to happen. So I didn't tell anybody. So it was, but somehow beginning to talk to people again here and there. And everybody I talked to outside of my family was not judging me. There was no judgment from these. There were not too many, but there was no judgment from them. So it helped. And then eventually I was now still talking with my son's father again and knowing that my son was fine. And he wasn't exactly fine anyway. He was constantly still crying. And one of those days, his mom calls me and says, you have to stop thinking about this boy so much. He's not eating. He's not sleeping well. He's constantly sick. And she said, you just have to try. And she puts him on the phone and I talked to him for a few minutes. And she said, I know it's painful, but just try. Don't cry so much and don't think too much about him with pain in your heart. It's affecting him. So I just knew I had to be strong somehow. And then shortly after that, my son's father calls me and tells me, do you know after that phone call, he got better?
But I'm worried. Why didn't they call you to come over to take over
To take care of the
take
child
care
in the
of the
house.
baby?
Exactly. That was the other
Did you
thing.
break up with him after
No.
the pregnancy?
No, I never broke up with him. In fact, I actually made that request. When I was in Badagry, there was a time I went to visit them at their house in Lagos.
Okay.
Because
When
they
Lagos-
were living in Lagos in Apapa area. So I actually went to visit. And even when I visited, I still begged them, like, can't I just come and stay with you people? And they said, no, let's not go against your parents now.
No, but
They were trying to also not offend my parents further,
Yeah,
I think.
because
Especially
at
with
that
the
time,
tribal differences.
tribal difference, and for the fact
That
that
was
they had
louder, because
not even
anybody-
asked for her hand in marriage, and then
Yes, because I actually made that request. It was one of the, I begged them, like let me just stay with you people. Since my parents don't want. And they're like,
even after the adoption, so-called adoption, they didn't still give you the opportunity to come
go
bond
take
with the
off-
baby and take care,
take
of,
care
the
of
baby.
your baby.
no.
Then at the convent, that day that they separated you and the baby to give them, and you heard the baby's cry, did they not allow you come feed
Feed the baby at least.
Was it the rule of the convent?
The Reverend Sister had already given me a drug. She told I should take it immediately to dry up my breast milk. So I couldn't breastfeed him even if I wanted to.
Oh, that must have been hard.
That's cruel.
Yes.
Must have been
It
hard.
was very hard.
So what was the hardest part of this journey, of the whole experience? And how did you cope with the hard part?
So the hardest part of everything for me was the fact that nobody gave me grace on either side. Everybody was kind
The
of
side of your parents,
yes,
on
and
the side of
yes,
his
my
own parents.
yes, his own parents. Everybody was, not very like
so
I,
sad.
the
That's
the
so
one of the
sad.
times I spoke to my son's father when we were talking, I told him something. I said, none of you thought about how I was feeling. All I know, egos were bruised. I know everybody was standing on their rights, but at no point did any of you think, how is this girl feeling? And I think that's the part that hurt the most because I was the one who was pregnant. And of course, we know that pregnancy comes with its own challenges. Okay? Yeah. So I had to walk this journey alone with no form of care, with no love, with no comfort of any kind. So that was the realization of how abandoned I was the hardest thing. And how did I cope? I think the only thing that made me cope was the hope that one day I would see my son again and I would be able to talk to him and let him know that I didn't abandon you.
But do you see him?
I've seen him only twice since then.
In 17 years.
Yes. I saw him when I saw him
16, about 16.
Yeah, he's going to be 16 in April. Yes.
But do you communicate with him?
No.
Why?
Yeah, so there's not that kind of allowance.
Is it from the father or what?
Well, he says it's
supposed to be in this boy's life.
Yeah, he says he says somebody spoke to him about it. It wasn't me directly, but when I first published the story on my page about my son, there was a young man who got interested and he said he wants me to be in the boy's life. So can he speak to the boy's father? And it was the feedback I got from that because every time I tried, there was always an excuse, of he's not here. He's with
now?
Yeah, he's married.
All right.
He's married with his own children, with his wife. Yes. So the last time I went to see the boy, before I talk about this, was when he was 5 years old. Wow. And when I went to visit him that time and I spent time with him, I told him I was his mom. And it's caused a big backlash. It caused
Why?
Why?
They said they were very angry with me that I shouldn't have told him that it was causing confusion in his mind and that when he went back home, he was becoming naughty towards his stepmom.
Okay, they had told him that his stepmom
was his mom. Yes. So that was the whole thing. And after that, I wasn't allowed to speak to him again. Yeah, because they said I was confusing him. I should let him grow up. When he grows up enough, they're going to let him know what happened.
So when was the last time you spoke to him?
Last year, So last year, his dad called me and he said he wanted us to speak. So we spoke on video. But he told, like my friend asked me, what did he tell you? What did he tell his son? He said that a friend wants to say hello to you.
So up till now, they're still saying they're
Do
not
you
telling
still
him
want
the truth.
your son?
Of course. That's my first child.
So what are you doing to get your son?
And I that's why the story is out there anyway, because I know somehow it's good. Everybody needs to drop the act and stop making it look like the heavens are going to fall. What's the worst that can happen? Because like I was saying, this young man who got interested and spoke to him, he said that he didn't want to disturb the boy's mental health. That was one thing, and that it to feel like a betrayal to his parents, because at the time they adopted him, that was how I knew they even paid adoption fees.
It is not possible for his father to adopt him.
It's not.
So let's cut that.
So
cut the adoption
that was what he told this young man, that it was actually his parents who paid the adoption fees.
That was their own.
That's a business.
They did it of their own volition to get their child. So they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't even. Did they sign any papers?
I don't know.
Collect the boy.
I have no idea. I don't know.
That is where barrister will now come in.
Yes, because
So
What
he
is the
said-
adoption
so
process?
he said-
a father cannot adopt his son.
So he said that he to be like a betrayal to his own parents if he allows
It's not,
me.
you see, this
I still had to
has
tell him
featured so much in all this.
So I
and
had to tell him still that anyway, things have changed now. He has a baby sister, because that's at this point, I'm not so much interested in the whole mother-son relationship like some people would expect. Yes, I want to have that relationship with him, but I'm very much interested in him having a relationship with his sister.
sibling.
He has a baby sister. I want I tell my daughter
Did
every
you tell
time.
him that he has a baby sister?
Who, my
last
son?
time you
Your
saw
son.
No, I didn't tell him.
So how long was what was the duration of the call?
1
you had with
minute.
him? 1 minute,
Yes,
the
yes,
video call.
yes.
Are you telling me that the boy would not remember what happened about 12 years?
He
or
would remember. I know he will.
11 years before? No, when the last
No,
time
the
she
last time I
saw
saw him, when he was 5. So 5 plus now, yeah.
I'm sure he has it in his
He would,
head.
he would. So I
sure.
told him, I just said hello to him. How are you? How is school? Hope you're being good. He said yes. And he asked me how I was. So I told him I was fine. And I told him to take care. And that was it. So because it was a very short call. So I still told his father that besides anything, I want this boy to meet his baby sister. His sister knows that she has a brother. So I want them to meet because they need each other in this life.
Apparently, he has other siblings, so we can't just say that his baby sister alone.
No, he has boys. He has brothers. So his father had sons with with his wife.
He still has siblings.
So yeah, he has siblings.
At
So
least
but
he needs to know.
no,
that
he has another sibling.
He needs to know.
No, at this point, I think you need to do more
Okay.
Yeah.
to get your son.
Get your son. You need to do
Because
more. If you
whatever it's done illegally, it was never done. Like I said the last time, you can't put something on nothing.
Yeah, because I remember, sorry to say that in 2020, yeah, because I was during the COVID time, I reached out to FIDA and I eventually talked to I think she was the zonal coordinator at the time.
For
Plateau. Yeah, I spoke with her.
I still saw her recently, so.
Okay, yeah, so I spoke with her and she asked questions like what hospital was he born in?
Wasn't born
And
in any
I told her he
hospital.
wasn't born in any hospital. And I told her what happened. And she said,
Do they have records of birth in that convent? Do you think?
I don't know.
Was there a birth certificate?
No. There's no birth certificate. There's no record.
Okay, so now this FIDA thing, we'll have to have that conversation again.
Yeah.
We have to awaken.
Yeah, because
we have to call
she said that she didn't know how it was going to be possible. The fact that I didn't give birth in the hospital and there was no birth certificate, so that I would have to just hope that the father, agrees to let me.
Now the question now is: are you asking for the boy to take him away from the
No,
father?
no.
Or you just want to have a
I want to have a relationship with him.
with
At
At
your
least let
son?
there be.
I want to have a relationship with him.
Sort of
Why am I
co-parenting.
taking him away? I'm not interested in taking him away. I want to have a relationship with him. I want to build that relationship with him. That's just
There
what
should
I
be
want.
a sort of
No, we have to
agreement
we have to
for co-parenting.
Yes, we have to
Because-
awaken that discussion with FIDA
Yes.
and see where we can get to. Even without FIDA,
Yes.
we should talk about this.
Talk about this.
This
At
is your
least-
son.
This is your son. You
Irrespective
you're still
of what
part
has
of his
gone
life, whatever
round,
must have gone
yeah.
wrong and everything, you're still part of his life.
Yes.
So you should be.
And
in
take
his
it away
life.
from your mind. Your husband never, or your son's father never adopted him. he only took
Let's
his
not talk
son.
about, like, we should quit talking about adoption.
Yes, it's not
because
called-
he didn't adopt him.
Yes.
He only came, paid all the necessary fees, maybe for them taking care of you and everything. Let's look at it that way, that he only came to settle them for taking care of you while you were pregnant, maybe hospital bills and all those things. That money he paid was not for adoption. It was for him to be able to access his child.
Yeah.
Should we look at
And
it?
he
that
helped
way?
in the situation because that was why I asked the question initially. Did you pay for maybe the rental of staying in that room fees?
Yeah, like I said, it was
and all that,
20,000
and they must
we
have been
paid.
spending their money.
Yeah, it was
Yes, and I
20,000
guess
we paid at
not-
registration. So
That's
there was no
adoption
other.
money. Eventually,
There is
is what-
nothing-
No, I think that is what they use to maybe to compensate
Compensate,
themselves for all
yes.
the more food and the rest, the sales of the baby. I don't want to use sales.
Because a father can never adopt
Yes,
his
exactly.
child.
So that's it. So I'm not interested in taking the boy away. No, I need to spend time with him. I need to get to know him. And like I said, he needs to meet his sister.
And if he's watching this, he should do the needful
Please,
very
if
fast.
you're Hazel's baby daddy and you're watching this, please, we're pleading, let Hazel have a relationship with her son.
Yeah, because at one
It's
time
just
I had
right.
to
It's just
quickly
the right
before
thing
we
to
take
do.
it up.
I had to
Yes.
remind him
We're
one
not
time.
threatening, no one is threatening, and she doesn't want to take the baby away from you.
Yeah.
She just wants a relationship with her son. And if there's any way we can arrange for a co-parenting
or write agreement.
or
Prepare
something, so that
situations
she
where
can
this
also,
will work.
at least, she has suffered. She labored for she had that baby in her stomach for 9 months. She labored to have the baby. She has suffered a lot of trauma being away from that child. Please, at this point, the boy is already a
grown.
teenager.
He's almost-
and there's
he's
nothing
almost
you tell
18
him that is
years.
new under the sun.
Very well.
Yeah.
There's nothing you tell him now that is
And-
new under the
yeah.
sun.
And what we know is that there would have been signs.
Yes.
The boy must know. He knows, because let me
One
tell
or
you one
two,
thing.
yeah.
There's no way a child living with somebody who isn't his biological mother, there's no way that child will not know. Children have instincts, except they choose to just ignore those signs.
Especially
there are
during
signs,
teenage
especially
years.
when the woman even has other children for the same man. I know women. We women.
No, she
we
might
have-
be doing a good job doing
She may
that.
do a good job.
Yes, she might be doing an
she might be
excellent
doing
job.
an
You can't-
excellent
you
job,
can't-
but there will be
There's
other
still-
signs.
there's
No
still
one can love you
reason.
like your mother.
Yeah.
I don't know how. That's my opinion anyway. But no one can love give you that motherly love.
Some
like
women
your
do
mother.
a good job taking care of other people's children, and knowing that child left you at a
Very tender age.
as a baby.
as an infant.
Is that infant? A baby.
Yeah, that's the infant now.
No, I'm even saying that's single mother, a 1 week old baby. So she might have a good relationship.
Okay,
with,
it wasn't. It was his mom who was taking care of him before he started this
his
relationship.
grandma.
Yeah, his grandma before he started the relationship
Okay,
with
with
this
his
woman,
stepmom.
with his stepmom, and
Please,
eventually
if you
married
are
her.
listening and you are Hazel's baby daddy, we plead with you to please allow Hazel to have a relationship with her son. She needs it too. She can't wish away that boy. She had him inside of her for 9 months and she gave birth to that baby. And the baby is alive and thriving. For her own mental health sake, allow her to have a relationship with the boy. He's now a boy.
Yeah.
Because he's 16. Or
Yeah, he's going to be 16 soon. You know, I had to tell
Let
him
her
one
have a
time.
relationship.
I had to tell him one time that irrespective of everything that happened, at least he should count it as a plus for me. All the lengths I went to ensure that he
Ensure
had
that
his,
the baby
and
was
it
not given up for
strangers.
adoption or to giving
up to strangers. At
up
least
to strangers.
he had his son with him. So yeah, so that's it. And it's been
It's so sorry.
Yes.
We're so sorry that you had to go through all this. And I just want to ask that, have you healed?
well, I've at least
aspect because
this
you've been through a lot.
Yeah, this particular aspect, healing takes time, I would say. And I remember one time I posted on my Facebook page that there are wounds that never heal. Just like people say, time heals all wounds. Time does not heal all wounds. And this particular wound that I have, time has not healed it. I've only been able to cope with it.
I think-
I've been able to navigate life with it. I've been able to just survive, go on with each day. But there are days I wake up and that's the first thing on my mind. There are times I go to bed and that's the last thing on my mind. I always think about it. How is he really doing? Like, how is he really, what would life be like?
And you wouldn't want to be calling the dad often because he's married.
Of course,
Somebody
he's
else.
married, so I can't make it look like I'm trying to be the problematic or the crazy baby mama, as they say. So I have healed enough to not be resentful. I can say that. So I no longer have a lot of resentment in my heart towards anybody. Like even when I talk about it, I talk about all the people who were involved in making this a very difficult journey. I don't talk about it with resentment. I'm not angry with anybody. Yeah. I'm not mad at anybody. So I've healed enough to not be resentful. I've healed enough to not be bitter. But then the ache is still there. The emptiness is still there. The things that I have lost, just like I said recently to someone, the fact that I never got to see him crawl, I never saw him take his first steps, say his first words, all of that is lost. It is time that can never be gotten back. He's not going to be a baby again that I would have to go through and of course I have another child, but we all know that children are different. So whatever processes he went through is different from, the one and my daughter. So everything is different, so all of that was taken away from me. It's a whole life I lost because of this experience. So, and yes, it is very painful. I do not wish anybody to experience that. And I keep saying it, that as much as we like to be righteous, we try to be self-righteous and pretend that we don't make mistakes, we are infallible in some way. And I see people castigating girls who have abortions and things like that. Now, just to put out this disclaimer, for those of you who like to pick apart words, I am not in any way supporting abortion. But I am trying to say that at this point, we have to be very honest with ourselves. If you're raising children, whether biological children, students in your school, young children in your church, children in your neighborhood, whatever it is, if you're raising the next generation, things like this are still going to happen. It is not new under the sun. Somebody will get pregnant outside of wedlock. How you treat it is going to happen. So if you do not want, up until now, Barrister Ibu, I think you might correct me, but I think abortions are still illegal in Nigeria, right?
Very, very.
Good. So up until now, I know that abortions are illegal in Nigeria. And of course, based on our faith, whether Christian or Muslim, it is still a sin to have an abortion. We have to take a stand for what we believe in. If we're going to obey the law and not have abortions, if we're going to be Christians or if we're going to be Muslims and not have abortions, when that boy comes home and says his girlfriend is pregnant, or when that girl comes home and says she's pregnant, you have to find a way to navigate that period, that season. Did they do right? No. Of course, they had unprotected sex when they shouldn't be having sex. Yes. But you have to help them navigate that season of their life without...
so that they don't suffer.
Yes, without having them go through so much suffering. So if you don't want girls to be marching to abortion clinics, what do you want them to do? Take up a stand. Make up your mind. Are we creating a safe haven for these people to, because one of the things I hear people say all the time, and the child is innocent. Exactly, the child is innocent. But do you realize that my son also suffered? He was innocent, but he suffered a lot, whether in the womb or outside, he suffered.
No breast milk from 2 weeks.
So he's innocent.
If his mom died at birth.
Exactly. So he still suffered.
That's why he was crying.
Exactly. So he was still punished. This innocent boy was still punished because of this. So if we're saying abortion is wrong because the child is innocent, then we should think of that child that is coming. It's a new life that is coming.
And he didn't.
If you want to
be
if
born.
you want to kill the mother and father after the child is born, you can do that. But let the child be born into a safe haven. Whatever you now want to do with the parents after that, it's yours to do. But as much as possible, let us create a safety net. If you read the Bible, because I love to, that's one of the things that's helped me to reading scriptures, praying and meditating. If you read scripture, in the book of Leviticus, God took his time to list out the things the children of Israel were supposed to be doing that would make Israel to stand out from other nations. And if you pay attention, there was provision for every category in society.
Yes.
There
I
was a
remember.
provision for that.
I know that the book of Leviticus.
So you
was
can
really
read through it.
Really
It was
explicit.
yes, it's explicit. There was provision made for every category, including people who killed others. There was a city of refuge. If you had killed somebody, you can run to the city of refuge for a period of time until the priest dies. Then you can come out. And the avenger will not slay you. Now we know that murder is bad. It is a crime. It is everything. Now, if murderers could receive grace,
Mercy.
they could receive mercy. Can we give grace to people like me? That is the only thing I've ever asked for. I didn't ask for anybody to fan me and say, "Oh, you did such a good job." No, I didn't. I did wrong. I know. I've taken responsibility for that. But at the same time, can you spank me with one hand and draw me close with the other hand?
Because of the baby involved.
Because of the baby involved.
Can we give grace? Can we have cities of refuge for people like this? That is all I want. That is all I'm asking for.
I want to talk about the parents. What would you like to tell parents of children who are found in similar situations like you? I know you have said a lot to everybody, and I, as a parent too, I've learned a lot from this. No one is saying that you should just go and misbehave and live recklessly and get pregnant. You know, it's hurtful to parents when they are girls, especially after they have given them everything.
Yes.
They have shown you enough love, and you go and do this. I always tell my daughters that, look, if you go and get pregnant outside wedlock, the consequences.
It's on you.
No. If the consequences were to be 100, I will suffer the 20% of the shame of my child being pregnant out of wedlock. But the 80%
it's still on you.
It's still on you, because your education will suffer, your time, you have to slow down your development. You have to slow down your development. While the boy goes back to school, you will be at home taking care of your child. And I'm not ready to be a grandman now. That is what I tell my daughters. When the time is ripe, I'll be so happy to become a grandma.
But if it happens,
if it happens, will I kill the child? My people say that you don't throw the
baby away with the
bath water,
yes.
Or cutting off the head is not the antidote for headache. You don't allow children to suffer unnecessarily for the sins that they were not even.
Yes. Now I want to one thing
they were oblivious of.
Yes.
Because
one thing,
the innocent child that was born out of that sin, in quotes, is very he was oblivious of what was happening.
Of course. So one thing I want to plead with parents.
Parents, please.
I'm also a parent now. And like she said, I'm not sure I'm going to be enamored if my daughter should walk up to me one day and say, "Oh, mommy, I'm pregnant." I wouldn't be very happy, of course. So, but first things first, have you educated those children? I know that in the Nigerian society till now, we still treat things like sex with a lot of secrecy.
Sacredness.
It's shrouded in a lot of sacredness, a lot of secrecy. You're the best person to educate your child on sex, not an outsider. You're still the best person as a parent to educate your children about sex on all levels. The dangers, the benefits, the everything. Let them know. Because if they don't know, they will get to know somewhere else. And most likely, they're going to be getting the corrupted version of whatever it is. And it will backfire. That's one thing. So if you have done your own, because I always talk about watching and praying. The Bible says watch and pray. So while you're praying for that child, watch. What is watching? What can you tell them? What can you teach them? That is watching. What can you teach them? How can you help them to, grow in a way that they know that these are the benefits, these are the downsides, this is that. Because whether or not we like it, God is still the one who created sex. So we have to talk to these children early enough so that they know. Then after you've done all to stand, as Paul said, after having done everything to stand, please have faith in your heart, have grace in your heart towards your children. As much as possible, do not throw your children to the wolves. Your children should still be able to find a safety net with you. Yes, when you have gone through the storm, when you have done, and those people you are afraid of, oh, Sister Florence is going to say, Barrister Ebu is going to say, do you know what
They're
Barrister
going to
Ebu is
laugh
doing in
at
her
me.
own house? Do you know what Sister Florence is doing in her own house? At the end of the day, you don't really know what anybody is doing behind closed doors. Those people you think so highly of that you're afraid of, and you're
They have
thinking,
their own issues too.
yes, this person is going to judge me, that person is going to be disappointed. They have their own issues. Like I would always say, if in a very friendly way, teach your skeletons to dance. They keep saying people have skeletons in their closets. Teach your skeletons to dance. When you teach your skeletons to dance, nobody can weaponize it against you. Because that was exactly what happened in my own case. It was like a skeleton in the closet of my family. And somehow, everybody who came near and got a wind of it tried to weaponize it. Now, if you teach your skeletons to dance, nobody can weaponize anything against you. It gives you a certain power. Didn't you know that Sister Florence's so and what again? Is there anything else you wanted to tell me? Is there anything strange? Is there anything new that I don't know? So have that level of grace in your heart. Yes, you're not going to condone their excesses, but as much as possible, how can you, if you think of Jesus, for those of us who are Christians, when you see how Jesus handled situations, it was with grace. And he said, as I have loved you, love one another.
Thank you so much, Hazel.
You're welcome.
I want to ask Barrister Ebu, as a legal practitioner now, what do you think are the loopholes in the adoption cases, adoption laws in Nigeria that makes all these people just create their own? Is there any adoption law at all?
Yes.
And what are the loopholes that
Nigeria
makes all
is-
that gives rise to all this illegal? I don't want to call them illegal, because until there's a law, before there's
There's a law. There's a Child Rights Act.
yes. But is it right for what the convent is doing? What the convent is doing, is it what would I want to use?
Is it
one
legal?
word. No. Does it go in line with Nigerian laws? I don't want to use that word legal.
When you ask that question, Ma, about the loopholes in Nigerian law and all that, you see, there's a Child Rights Act that is there's a word now that every state will now have to adopt their own, with maybe little differences as to culture and all
and
that.
tradition.
But some, we just codify them in the states as they were given from the federal. So that's one of the issues. Assuming we pick it the way it was as an act, every state should have a balanced child rights law now. Let me explain what I mean. Now there's a Child Rights Act for federal. Every state will now take it and now modify it to their own state law.
Maybe according to their culture.
Yes, no, they might. It's not. They might just take it all like that, or sometimes they just add one or two things. So we don't know the laws of Imo State, the child right law of Imo State, but we can check. But we know that it will not be different from the
Not so
main
far
one. It
different.
can never be so far. Now, talking about what they did at the convent, I believe it is illegal until more questions are asked and more documents are seen. Because the only person that can actually enforce a law, or I'm trying to use the right word now and I'm not getting it. Now, before a child can be said to have been adopted, there should be a court order. The ministry in charge of adoption is the Ministry of Women Affairs. And there's a law that guides whatever they are doing. And there's nothing like payment for adoption, except, of course, administrative fees. Maybe even because one of the things they do when a child is going to be adopted is there's consent, and it wouldn't be gotten by fraud or by any way, maybe illegally.
Or coercion.
And all that. And then they have other things like when they get consent, there are forms to be filled.
I even wanted
they
to
even
ask.
visit the house of the person that is adopting the child to know if they have the capacity.
To take care.
They have interviews with the parents.
The prospective parents.
Yes. The ministry, and that's why it is under the Ministry of Women Affairs. In fact, in Plateau State for some time now, I think they've even stopped taking adoption, allowing adoption and all that. After which, they will now take this to the court. The court will now give an order that this child is now adopted or can be adopted legally. Now, in your story, it's just somebody sitting down somewhere and giving one person an order. And let me tell you, as long as, I wanted to ask that question, as long as Ministry of Women Affairs or whatever name is used for that ministry in Imo State is called, as long as they are not involved, as long as there are issues, in fact, there are a lot of issues. When you mentioned 17 to 28, a child of 17 years is still a minor. You get the point. You cannot just say that now this child can even make a decision on his own or our own. Let's use her because they're all girls. On her own to say, oh, I want to adopt, I want to give my child up for adoption. Now you mentioned something that bears talking about, that a lot of those girls are not even educated.
They're not educated.
So they don't even know what they are up to. They don't know their rights. They don't know what they should do. They are just being taken advantage of. And in fact, in your situation, at the point you realize that nobody was listening to you, if you didn't have this other route of speaking to your baby father, you could go to the police. There is always a desk for gender issues.
Barrister Ebun, please, I want you to throw more light on this question I'm about to ask. Who gives consent in cases of adoption?
The mother.
Is it the mother of the child or the parents of the mother of the child?
Sometimes the reason for adoption is not even this Hazel story. Sometimes the parents of the child are not even alive.
Yeah.
Like there's no one taking care of the child.
Yeah.
So there are so many scenarios. So we cannot just cap it in one. But one, a situation where maybe the mother is alive and the mother feels that I'm not capable of taking, she gives consent. Or the father, biological parents.
But can she give consent? Can she withdraw her consent after she has signed the adoption papers?
No. Ma, what is adoption papers? It is after the court has given its order that you might not be able to withdraw. But if you realize that, if you want to tell the court that, oh, I gave this consent out of coercion, or because I was hungry, I needed money and they were going to give me money. Do you understand? You can withdraw your consent with valid legal reasons. And I was trying to answer that question. The mother, the father, guardians, they can give consent for adoption of a child. Also, sometimes you don't even need, the court can do away with consent in some situations. And let me give an example. An example, if a mad person or someone that is mentally incapacitated gives birth on the road and the child is apparently named, is a government child already.
Yeah.
He can be adopted. Who will give consent? Is it the mother that is not even in a mentally stable state? So there are situations, maybe the child is not even being taken care of and all that. And then what if they see that, okay, the mother that is even giving consent, she's doing it out of fraud or something like that. So consent, parents, then any other guardian. And sometimes consent can be done, we can do without the consent of anybody to adopt a child. If the people that want to adopt a child are actually doing it in the right way. And you know, one thing that we didn't talk about in all of this is the child.
Exactly.
The interest of the child.
Yes.
It's not protected.
Which is what I kept saying.
The child,
anybody think of the child?
how it would make the child better. That's what the court looks at before the court even makes that decision. We have this kind of situations when we talk about maybe marriage, co-parenting, and all that. If we say that in the interest of taking care of the child, or in the care for the child, it is better that the child even stays with the father.
Yeah.
The court will look in that direction.
Yes.
And we women are the ones that really understand the pain of a mother and a child. That's why you see that the government is wise to put this kind of thing under the Ministry of Women Affairs, adoption, child rights, and all that. And I tell you, it's not over. It's not over. And I know you might not want to mention the convent for a long.
There's no need
Yes,
for
I know
that.
we might not want to get there, but what they are doing
It's not
is
nice.
illegal.
I just talking about the issue of payment that the father had to come and pay, and under Nigerian law and
You don't pay
constitution,
for adoption.
is it right for a biological father to pay for the adoption of his own child or a parent?
These are now two issues. One is that for even adopting a child, you are not supposed to pay, apart from administrative fees, maybe filling forms, and then, like I said, they do due diligence.
Yes.
So they need maybe funds for transport and all those little things, registration and having something, then maybe transport for the person going to court, doing all the paperwork and all that. But no payment. There is nothing that should be called payment. That's selling the child. That's on one part. I think the other part is that, I said it, a father cannot adopt his child, because what is adoption? Like, you are saying that I'm taking back my child. This is taking my child
back.
Let's
just assume that he paid for.
He just paid. Of course, he was taking advantage of that.
He was taking that because they saw his vulnerability and
his desperation.
Yeah.
But it's even better because they would have sold it to somebody else.
Yes, they would have sold the child.
And you see why I told you that what they are doing is wrong. Assuming we look at that, it's a convent, it's a Christian, maybe they are trying to even help so that the society is not this. Now look at it. If the child, actually, if they are giving the child to anyone for adoption, do they really go to check who this person is?
Did you meet any of the people who came to adopt?
No. The adoptions happen from the orphanage, so it's in a different part of the way the orphanage is built. The hostel for the girls is here. The orphanage is on the other side, and of course you can't. We only go out of the hostel when we're going to the chapel for mass. So and the orphanage is on the side of the chapel, like on the back side of the chapel. Okay, so you wouldn't you never get to see
the intending
parents. Who is
even the children.
Even the children. Once the child is born and you see the child at that time, the child is taken away immediately.
Wow. So you see the lot.
So you don't get to even see who is adopting the baby.
Wow. I wanted to ask you while you were talking. Do you have an idea of the amount that your baby's daddy paid?
No, I don't. I'm not sure.
But how much do they collect?
So at the time, what I heard when I was there was that for baby girls it was 100,000, and for baby boys it was 200,000.
Wow,
see, that's not adoption.
So there was even,
and that is 2009,
2009, 2010. Yes,
that's 2009, 2010.
Did you see the patriarchy we've been talking about? So there was a different cost for a baby boy and a different cost for baby girl.
Because there'll be more patronage for the baby boy.
Yes, people wanted boys.
Nigeria is obviously
you see that's
a
not adoption.
Country.
Yes, we're not talking adoption here. We're actually talking sales of babies.
Yeah. So also, Barrister Ebun, please, I want to ask, if young girl finds herself in this situation, because you can never tell who is listening, and she finds herself in this kind of situation, like what Hazel had to go through, what legal steps can she take if she's in a situation where she has to be coerced or forced to sign off her baby? What legal steps can she take in order to be off this type of arrangement?
So one, let's look at it with age range.
Yeah.
If we say, let's say the child is less than 16 or 17, or even children of 17, 16, 14 nowadays, they run away from their homes. So the first thing is to report to the police if you cannot even think of anything. Secondly, present
if there's a police adoption.
Already you had a premonition that they were going to take this baby from you. So the only thing you should get is a police station. Even while you said you wanted to run away, you could have, if you were able to get yourself to a police station. That's first of all the starting point. But even after, and you've given birth now, this happened, and you want your child back, you can still go to police. Then you can present at the Ministry of Women Affairs. Like you said, you spoke to FIDA. FIDA is doing a great job with all of this. Adoption. And then there's something called child welfare. I don't know how welfare is being run. I've never been there. I've never had issues there. And I've never been interested in what happens there. But I've seen people go there, make reports.
What about government agencies, like non-profit organizations? What non-profit?
We have a lot of them, but you know,
can the girls run to?
NAPTIP,
Okay.
yes,
That's a
child
government
trafficking, yes,
agency.
yes, that
All
deals
right.
with, and it's a non-governmental. It's not even only governed by Nigeria. It is international.
Please, if you find yourself in a situation similar
That's,
to that of Hazel, please look for any nearest police station or the Ministry of Women Affairs or
Child
NAPTIP.
welfare, NAPTIP.
Is it NAPTIP or NAPTIT?
It's NAPTIP. I think it's
Yes.
NAPTIP, yes.
Yes, that's
Please.
child trafficking.
Get to the place, to the nearest office of any of the offices we have mentioned, and please report your case there. And these government agencies, please, if girls come to you, treat their cases kindly.
I'll tell you something, ma.
Treat their cases kindly, because I know
We have
Nigeria,
I've been to a lot of police stations, especially in Plateau, and I see that sometimes we have women there.
yeah.
Just present the way you feel. And even from Hazel's story that they release you 2 days after you give birth, it's still fresh before they sell out your baby. It's still very fresh. You can still trace your baby. You can still get your baby back. But you know, don't look at the emotions of, I just gave birth, because it's not easy after giving birth. You're still, go to report to the right agent. Why I don't want to say NGOs that whether we don't know, because we don't know which one is which. But we know NAPTIP. We know Ministry of Women Affairs. In the Ministry of Women Affairs, they will hand you over to FIDA. You can even present at Ministry of Justice. There are female lawyers there, and there is FIDA there. In fact, there are a lot happening with women in the world and children. In fact, the Attorney General can take up your case for you.
So, are there gaps?
That's the gap.
In this Nigerian adoption law that is making all this abuse possible? Because apparently there are so many
Nigerians.
abuse. There's so much abuse.
I think it has a lot to do with ignorance. So now I'm not talking from the legal point. Now let me talk about someone who's been affected by it. Yeah. So I think the fact that I didn't know
what to do.
The only thing I knew was go home and tell your parents, report yourself to your parents. That was what I knew.
No. Getting pregnant is not even the problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, I'm talking of after everything started. So for me, I didn't know anything else. I didn't even imagine I should report my parents to the police or I should go to the police station.
No, you're not even reporting.
No, what I mean is whether reporting them or even
Yes.
going to the police station. Because going to the police station will be like reporting my parents. That's why I use that word, okay?
Yeah.
So I think it has to do with a lot of ignorance. I think a lot of Nigerians are not, because even me, with being in school, I was educated, but I'm hearing some of these things for the first time. Things like there are no adoption fees. No, I know about FIDA. I've contacted things like there are no adoption fees. I'm hearing about it for the first time. I'm hearing about a lot of these things for the first time. Okay.
Yes, I
think there are a lot of people like me who do not know. So maybe those are the gaps that are being
stigma. There's this stigma that
too.
They don't allow you maybe see other people, so they don't know you're pregnant.
Exactly.
And all that.
The convent was fenced high and there's a gate. You can't go out.
No. Let me tell you. All these things tell you that there's something going wrong.
There's a sinister
First, that the convent is that fenced, and you submit your phones, and you cannot even have access to the outside world.
Yes.
Something is wrong.
So you see, that's what. So I think that's so. Let me answer from the layman's point. That is a gap that is being exploited. There's the fact that there's really no knowledge. There's no awareness about these things. So it's exploited, and of course isolation. These things.
But I always say something. Anytime you feel like your right has been infringed on or trampled upon, if it is not the police, just report to the police. Even if it looks like it's not that serious or not that deep, just get yourself to the nearest police station. Because somebody was talking about adoption I was talking about circumcision on female circumcision on radio which day, and I was listening, and then the woman was talking about something that was a problem in the villages. No daughter wants to report her mom or her dad to the police or to agencies because they feel that their parents will go to prison. But and now the agency is trying to do something. Just know that because the father is also ignorant or the mother has also gone through this, that is why we are not going to punish you. But when you know that this is going to be a problem to this child, then we now tell you that you are culpable. So I think that's another problem. A lot of people feel that if they report, if I report that my father asked me to give my child up for adoption, they might arrest him, might go to prison because of me. My mom will not even allow me.
Yes.
But the truth is that a generation is being saved.
Exactly.
And they might not even give your father, they might just educate him and school him. That you see this is nothing. And then I also believe, now this is not talking legally. I believe that when parents are in such quagmire, they should talk to other people. Do not keep it to yourself. And you see this person you're afraid of that might make jest of you. What exactly are you afraid of? Because I feel that talking to somebody else will help you see things in the proper perspective.
Yes.
Will tell you, oh, I don't think it's a problem. I will support you. I will stand by you. If anybody abuses you, we'll do this, we'll do that. Like you said, a friend of yours in Bauchi would have housed you and would have not been saying all of this.
Wouldn't even have talked about it.
Yes, exactly.
And then we're even in social media age.
Yes.
I know that children know exactly where to go when they need answers. And if their parents is not telling them, the social media will tell them.
Yeah, that's why I said be the first person to tell your child.
Yeah.
Before
No. So now that you were already 20, you could even leave the house.
Yeah, I could, but like I said in the last episode, I was afraid.
Yeah, I guess.
I was too. If I leave, where will I go?
Yeah, I understand. That's what I'm saying.
So,
that when we look at children from the age of 18 and above, they can leave.
Yes, I didn't. The living was
And
never.
they can, and if even. Like you said, now we can now talk about NGOs that will take care of the child, take care of you. And if you're taking care of a pregnant woman and you don't have interest, you can take care of her from afar.
Of course.
Honestly, it's even the woman at the Badagry house that's really
No. You can understand with her now. I wanted to talk about that. So the woman at Badagry might have 3 issues. One, like you said, maybe because people are saying that maybe her husband who got me pregnant,
yeah.
and that's why they thought of bringing you there. So that problem is from her husband.
At least you
He knew you were coming. You didn't badge him.
Yes.
He should have
They gave
explained to
consent.
his wife. And if the wife had said no, you would have not even been there. That's 1. 2, she should have engaged you in a woman-to-woman discussion. This is what happened. Then when you say, because there's no way a woman will ask you questions, she will not know if you're lying or saying the truth. At that point, you would have been able to talk to her, oh, this is what happened. This is the person that impregnated me. And you even said they came.
Yes.
So after they came, did she still go ahead with her mouth?
Of course. In fact,
She was already bent
She even
on-
worsened itself. She was.
And then that's what we were talking
Yeah.
about recently. Women should be able to stand up for other women.
Yeah.
The Bible, like you said, says that the older women should teach the younger women, especially like in marriage and all that. A woman that has, you only escaped that. A person that committed abortion now would not be saying this.
Yes.
You only escaped it because maybe you were lucky with the abortion.
You were lucky, yeah.
You only escaped it. So you look at another sister, another lady, or another child.
Maybe you would have even told her the story of how you wanted to get rid of it.
Yes, we should be able to stand up for ourselves.
Had a little bit of empathy.
Of course.
You know? Please.
And how do you even look at a pregnant girl and not feed her?
That was like shooting a
You
wounded
could have
soldier.
fought. Yes, you could have fought her in several ways
But
other
not
than
food.
food.
But not food. That was like shooting a wounded soldier,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah. So, towards Hazel's healing, I still want to appeal to Hazel's baby daddy. If you're watching this podcast, I still want to appeal to you. Hazel needs to be in her son's life. It's part of the healing process. If she tells you she has healed, now we'll just be deceiving
a lie.
ourselves. She
There's
may
no
have
closure.
healed from the divorce cases, the this, the that. She might have healed from other things. But for this issue of forcefully taking her baby away from her at that age, I'm sure she has not moved past it. And if you're watching, it is now incumbent on you to ensure that Hazel is part of her son's life. If it means you have to co-parent, maybe sometimes you will allow him to come and spend holiday, you are doing a disservice to that boy. Let him have a feel of what it likes, what it feels to have
A mother.
a mother. You know, even we know how we take care of our own.
Yeah.
You know, when your own children misbehave, there's how you still have to overlook it.
Yeah.
There are sometimes I usually ask women, so especially women who have underage
Children.
nannies, who employ underage nannies, and I see it. I get so angry that
And they're expecting too
sometimes
much.
they expect too much
Yes.
from those underage nannies.
If it was your
and then-
child, would
if
you-
it was your
would you
child,
do this?
A friend
Your
of
child might
mine
not
was
even be
saying
doing
that
such at that age.
her nanny was sleeping and putting her legs on the wall, and that the girl must be a witch. I said, that is how I sleep. I like putting my. So I said, I mentioned her daughter's name. I said, if it was so and so that was putting her legs, will you brand her a witch? Mm-hmm. Will you take her for deliverance? She wanted to take the child. In fact, we thank God it's helped the woman to. I said, some children are like that. I like me, I sleep with my legs on the wall
Have you
sometimes. And
seen
I'm not
some
a witch. I've never
children
seen myself
behave?
in any coven.
Exactly. Have you seen some children
But
behave?
if it is your child, you will know how to
You will
say,
know how to-
you know how to explain it away
The
that
expectation
maybe
will be
he's having
less.
a bad day. Maybe
Exactly.
Maybe he's having a bad day. That's why he's grumbling. He doesn't want to do this
Wash
one. But
the
if it's not your
plates.
child, there are some times that you don't even want to explain away other people's children's misbehavior. So please,
first
Hazel's
thing is
baby
don't even
daddy,
take-
we
don't
will
even
not
take a
mention
child
your
that is
name on
underage.
whatsoever
Yeah.
on this podcast.
But
if you are listening to us, help us. Help Hazel to move past this. Help her to heal. Help her to bond with her child. She's not taking it. She doesn't have the plans of taking that child away from you. But let the boy have the experience of a mother's love. We're not saying your wife is not trying, his stepmother, we give
And
kudos
your
to
mom.
her, and your mom, they are all trying. But please, there is a feeling between a mother and a child that boy needs to experience. Please, if you're listening to us, help Hazel to have contact with her child and help her have a bond, a kind of bond, an experience, or even a relationship with her child so that she can heal and move past this. I don't know whether you also have
I just
something
feel
to say
that
to Hazel's baby daddy.
Yes, I feel that you've done a good job already. Please just complete it. Allow her have access to her son. And we don't want to call Fida into it now because we believe you're a gentleman and you're a good family man. We want you to do the right thing immediately.
For him to have even decided not to
Immediately.
reject the pregnancy, because some men, even older men, some older people will say no. I'm not going to have it.
Yeah, that's
Since
what
you
I
have
think.
decided not to have an abortion, you are on your own. But
Yeah.
we give you kudos for you to have accepted to even come
effort.
take over, and you have made effort. You have raised the child, and you have allowed him to speak to her. You have allowed him to have a conversation with her on the phone. Please just take another step in the right direction by allowing the boy to have a time with his mom. Let him also allow her to co-parent with you. She's not interested in marriage with you.
No.
Or are you interested?
No.
She's not interested because I know that you may be scared that maybe your wife will be saying once the baby starts coming,
Nah.
you will start having contact with her. Hazel is not interested in marrying you, but she just wants to have a good time with her son growing up. Please, I don't know whether Hazel has something to say in that.
Of course, I want to have access to my son. I want to talk to him. I want to know what's going on in his life. I want to be part of his life.
You want
And-
him to come spend some
Yes,
time
I want him
with
to
you?
come spend time with me. If he's on holiday, let him know that he can come spend holiday. It would help. Apart from bonding with me, like I said, he needs to bond with his sister as well.
Yeah.
You know, I know how there's 12 years between both of them, so I want to imagine how that's gonna. He's a real big brother, you
Yes.
know. So that's
that is our heart's cry.
Yes.
In this beautiful episode, we want Hazel to heal. We want her to move past. It will help. It will even help her to move on in life because she's stuck. She's stuck in thinking what if, and what if.
Yeah.
So please help us. Let Hazel have a time with her child. She deserves it. She has been through a lot, even for the fact that she could call you. She could think of you as an option to come and take your child. in the convent. Honestly, she really deserves a pat in the back, and she deserves to have time with her son. I don't know whether there's any parting word you would like to say to our audience before you say your parting word. Please, if you enjoy our content, kindly subscribe to our channel and click the like button so that you can receive notification whenever there is a new video. There are going to be other contents coming up, other very interesting topics. We deal with issues of women, their resilience, their pains, their healing, their journey towards reconciliation and towards just recovery. Those are the kind of topics we deal with on this podcast, Echoes with Flow. And you'll be sure to have very, very interesting topics coming your way soon. So to be able to have access to those, please kindly click the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Hazel, I don't know whether you have any parting word that you'd like to.
Yeah, I still want to say
viewers.
I still want to say to our viewers, like Barrister Ibu has said, talk to somebody. You know, abuse of any kind thrives in silence. Okay, and if you speak to that person and they're judgmental, then you already know that that's a red flag. That's not somebody you should be speaking to. Speak to people who can point you in the right direction, not the ones who will start by pointing fingers at you, trying to blame you, trying to make your situation worse. Talk to somebody. It's good to talk to God, but God also gave us men. Okay, so we have the gift of men. So speak to people, because possibly if I had spoken to this other friend of mine, I would have known that there was another way out, you know. So please talk to somebody and remember, God loves you. Okay, so as much as possible, as much as you might want the validation of the people around you, you should be more interested in having the validation of God. Okay, give yourself grace. And that's my parting word for you today.
Thank you very much, Barrister.
Yes, actually, I want to say that there is always a law that protects you. The Nigerian law, we always complain, Nigerian law is vast and it protects us. We have the Child Rights Act, we have the the laws that protect women, we have laws that even protect men, we have laws that protect the handicapped, we have laws that protect everyone in Nigeria. There is always something in Nigerian law to protect you, no matter the situation you find yourself.
Thank you very much, Barrister. In a parting word, I would like to say, please, our young girls and boys, we parents will prefer you to practice abstinence, which is, I think, the best until marriage. But in the absence of that, practice safe sex. Practice safe sex. Sex is a beautiful thing, but it's supposed to be within the confines of marriage. That is how all the religions see it.
Yeah.
But if you know that you lack self-control, I'm not castigating you. Practice safe sex. And if there's anything, look for somebody to talk to. Just like Barrister Ibu and Hazel have said, look for someone to talk to. Confide in somebody. And please, if somebody confides in you, don't make his or her topic a subject for gossip. Don't castigate. Anyone that comes to you wounded should not be killed. Try to manage the person. Try to treat the person until the person gets healed. And parents, please, our own ego sometimes takes the better part of us that we don't even think of the feelings of these children before we take our decisions. Let us consider our children. We know that we don't want them to put us to shame, because we look at it, and a pregnancy out of wedlock is shame. And as much as we are talking to our girls, let us also talk to our boys.
Very well.
They are the ones that cause these havocs. And later, the girls will now bear the brunt.
Exactly.
Talk to your boys. If you have teenage boys at home, don't say, my boy is looking for a girl. So I see some women say it proudly, my boy is checking out a girl. Please talk to them. Talk to your boys. There are consequences to these things. Thank you so much, our viewers, for listening to this very, very, very exciting topic. We pray and hope that Hazel continues to heal. And we know that if you know Hazel's baby daddy personally, please help us to talk to him. Let him allow Hazel to have a time with her son. Let her bond with her son. Let her feel the mother to son experience with her son.